entertainment, insights. Don't take life too seriously. Welcome to Brainsky Unleashed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another amazing episode of Brainsky Unleashed. Remember, no less than 5 stars. And so today we have a very special guest. I ran into this person on the set of a commercial, and she was doing makeup, and she's a badass. And I got to talking to her, and she was fascinating. And I thought, I've got to have her on my show. So what we're going to do is we're going to be talking today with Shima, and she is a author, makeup creator. She's a founder of a makeup company. She's a total creative type, yet she is a successful business person that has a massive following on social media. It's like the big, in the big picture of things, she's like got it all. And I thought, got to have her on the show. So welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is my first time being on a podcast, and I'm so excited.
This is your first time on a podcast. I am going to be very gentle. I promise.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. So to get us started here, let's start off with you came from, I guess you were born and raised in Tehran, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And as far as growing up, I mean, did you grow up, were you kind of on the wealthier side of life, or were you kind of struggling? Like, what was the home life when you kind of started?
No, it wasn't wealthy at all, and I was born in a religious family, so
Okay.
I was struggling with like being myself. When I became a teenager and I started like putting makeup on and like not wearing scarf, and that was not really welcomed in my family. Not necessarily my mom and dad, because they were like the more open-minded people that I could deal with, but like mostly uncles, aunts, and my grandma. And it was really hard because I was like being the rebel girl that I like my cousins were not even allowed to talk to me only because I was wearing the makeup and yes, and I was not wearing hijab. So it was fun struggle. And honestly, that made me who I am today because I learned how to fight for my own freedom from the very young age.
I was going to ask, I mean, you had to obviously have a lack of freedom, but
Yeah.
yet you fought that and you're alive, which is fantastic. But you just said a fun struggle. That's an interesting way of putting it. I mean, you define it as a fun struggle. Is that a mechanism for how you coped with it? You just had a very positive outlook on life?
I really have a positive look on pretty much everything. And that kind of drives everyone around me crazy. They're like, how are you chill? How are you okay with the problems? The only reason is that I am making money off of like the problems I had in the past right now. I can tell those stories, I can create stories out of them, and I can tell the world what happened to me, and they're interested to learn more about it. And voila, this became my career at some point. And I'm like, okay, I'm glad this happened.
And I mean, look, you're in America and now you have a makeup company and you
Yes.
founded it. And so, before we really get into that though, I, I've already learned enough about you to know that you are really the creative type. Typically, the creative type doesn't necessarily have enough up here for uh, really a lot of strength in business, yet you do both, which I think is really impressive. Where did the creativity come from?
Um, Well, I know that I'm a storyteller, and I know that I never like fit myself in a box of like I'm this person or that person. I didn't go to any makeup classes. I didn't even know how to put makeup on. And everything started when at the time I was working at this company, and then COVID happened. And so I was forced to go to work even though everyone was quarantined and not going to work. And that was not fun. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to be the only one in the office or like with another person, but I'm going to make the best out of it. So I was waking up early in the morning, putting full glam makeup on, getting my hair done. And then only because I was inside desperate to just like, hey, this is not what I wanted to do. So I turned on my camera and then I started talking and I started like complaining, saying things, and then talking about everything while putting my makeup on and doing this dramatic makeup looks, like making dramatic, colorful, like eye makeup, only because I could, only because there was no one else telling me that you cannot do that. I was forced to go to the office and it was already bad. So, and I started doing that and started posting that. And then after like a week, I saw people following me and I'm like, what's going on? Who are these people? Like, who's buying me followers? And I didn't even know what's going on. And then it took me 2 weeks to learn that there's this thing of an algorithm that it goes on an explore page, and then when you post something online, people, like, find it, and then they watch it, and then it makes more people to watch it, and then they start following you, and I'm like, "Oh, that's very interesting." So in a very, very short time, I gained 100,000 followers, and at that time, I didn't even know how I'm getting these
I mean,
followers.
that's a huge number, especially right out of the gate, and all you were doing was just putting on makeup and babbling in front of a camera, and you got 100,000 followers.
Exactly.
Clearly, I'm
Yeah.
doing something wrong. I need to put on makeup and babble and get 100,000 followers. It may not look good by the time I'm done. I'm just saying. But if I had to put on makeup, it would probably be yours. I'm just saying.
Well, guess what? My makeup didn't look fascinating at the end either because I wasn't a makeup artist. I was just doing it out of I want to do something, and it was my therapy session, but in front of the world, and it was just fun. So I started talking about my exes. I started talking about my coworkers. I started talking about like whoever that did something wrong to me, and I'm so pissed at them. And I was like, "This is the time. If I'm gonna die, let me die like with saying everything to the world." And people liked it, so then I started doing it, and then at some point, I figured that my followers are very, very, very interested in my eye makeup, only because I was very brave with using colors, and I was being creative with the colors, only because I wanted to be out of this comfort zone, out of this, like, box that they created for girls of like, "Hey, black eyeliner, like, sculpted eye, this and that." So I started doing, like, very colorful and out of comfort zone makeup, and people liked it. People are like, "Oh my god, this is so different. I love it." And it became my signature.
And
And then
so in doing that, you just did one thing just a little bit different,
exactly.
and you've got all these followers, and they're
Yeah.
still following you because I mean, I checked because who would I be not to check, right? And so
Yeah, of
as
course.
of today, looking at your Insta, which by the way, that makes me cool if I say Insta instead of the full word apparently. So looking at your Insta, um, you have over 1.6 million followers.
Yes.
I mean, that's amazing. And the fact that you did that between COVID and today is even more impressive.
Yeah. I
So,
made a career out of
I
it
mean,
because at that time
seriously,
yeah.
you made a career out of it. I mean,
Yes.
that's amazing. So, if you were to be talking to someone who knew that they wanted to have followers on Insta or
Mhm.
on social media of some kind, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, you'd literally tell them what?
I literally tell them, "Talk and put your face out there." Pictures are not doing the job. Um, Pinterest perfect lifestyle is not doing the job. People need to relate, and people are like, I mean, yes, I like someone's like perfectly matched like with the colors and everything nice picture, but do I relate to that person? Does that convince me to follow that person? Probably not. But when I see someone that's like just being themselves and then having a regular like day in their regular lives that's like very similar to mine, I'm like, oh, she's like me or he's like me. And it's just like more interesting. But I always tell, like, whoever that asks me, I'm like, "Put your face out there. Show your face to people and talk to them. Talk to people." That is already doing 50% of the job, and then the rest is, like, being creative. You just need to be out there, and that's already 50%, and then be creative, and that's another 50%, and then voila, you're done.
I mean, I love how you literally just gave the recipe away. I mean, you literally gave the recipe of how to get 1.6 million followers, and it's something that
Yes.
is so simple. I mean, I haven't even
There's
I need to apparently do it. Now, granted, as I said, I'm probably not gonna be doing it with makeup, but I apparently need to be just standing in front of my phone and, "Hi, everyone.
exactly.
I'm
Just say
babbling today on what's happening in my life today, and I'm really frustrated because, I ran out of toilet paper and had to go to the next stall. Can you believe it? And next thing you know, I might have a lot of followers, which could happen, I'm sure. But
we could.
thank you for sharing that because I think that you have a secret sauce that nobody really necessarily thinks of. And for you to have figured it out on your own, it's what, 3, 4 years ago, parlayed it into what you've done. And this is what I mean about fascinating, right? Not only can you fascinate people by just simply looking at a camera, putting on some makeup, talking about your coworkers and how much that you want to probably kill them or thank them, depending on the day. But then you turn it into a business. You founded a makeup company
Yes.
in
Yes.
4 years.
Years. In
4
4
years.
years. Yeah. It actually started a year ago, so in 3
In
years.
3 years after
3
your
years.
first, "Oh my gosh, I'm bored, I've gotta do something," Instagram
Exactly.
post, you founded
Yes.
a makeup company, which is growing like crazy.
Yeah.
That's amazing to me.
Thank you.
So, let's transition just a little bit from the vlogging, to term,
Yeah.
to,
Mhm.
"I need to start a makeup company because why?" Was the makeup that you were using just not good enough? The colors weren't available? Was it crap? I mean, how do you
Yeah.
go from I'm doing this and making myself look pretty and talking about my day to, "I'm gonna found a makeup company."
Yes. Yes. I had only 3 reasons. Only 3.
Well, let's start with all 3.
Number Yes. Number 1, the makeup became my signature. So I could talk, I could be very serious, I could be goofy, I could be, like, telling a joke, I could be just, like, saying, like, absolutely nothing important.
Give me an example,
And
for my guests.
like, I have this video that I'm in front of the camera, I'm a hungover, and I'm trying to record, and, I start laughing, and I'm like, "What am I doing?" And then I'm like, "Okay, I can't do that." And then I stare into the camera, and I'm, like, looking, and I'm like, I'm sure I'm not doing something right." And then this whole thing is, like, 7 minutes of me just looking in the camera, and then I'm like, "You know what? You know what, the world? I'm tired. You know what? I don't wanna do this anymore." And I started cussing, like, just a little. And then that video got like 3 million views, and I'm doing absolutely nothing.
Oh, God, this makes me so frustrated because that sounds so simple, and yet what do most of us do? Not that. Most of us are
Right?
trying to be all formal. "Welcome to the Brainsky Unleashed
Exactly.
program."
Everyone
5 stars. Um, and so here you are going, "I'm hungover, what am I doing?" And okay, so, again, for anyone that's watching, it's not complicated apparently. Follow her instructions. Alright, so you start your makeup company. You got 3 reasons. I totally interrupted you, so let's
No,
go
no.
back and give us the 3 reasons.
Yeah, so the first one was that it became my signature. So whatever I do, it includes makeup. Whatever I talk about, it has the makeup part of it. I could be serious, I could be funny, but the makeup is there. It never goes away. So that was number 1. Number 2 was that I was selling. I whatever I tagged, whatever link I put out there. And I didn't know that until I learned how to monetize the link that I post to just tell people, hey, this is what I'm using. Because at the beginning, I didn't know monetized link is a thing. And then, like, slowly I learned that, hey, influencers do that. They monetize their links, they use specific platforms. So when someone buys, whatever you recommend to them, so you get some sort of commission, or you can track how many people click on your link or buy something or don't buy something whatsoever. So when I learned that and I started like sharing those things, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm selling. And I was selling. Like I was like, there were like things when I put the link out there, it just becomes sold out in like a few hours. So I learned I can sell, and I learned people care about what kind of makeup I put on my face because apparently they like the final look. And then the third reason was that, yes, I was going out like, at the time that I wasn't really that popular for brands to just reach out to me and send me PR packages, 'cause that was not a thing at the beginning. I was just buying my own stuff. And, going to Sephora and Ulta, that was, like, my everyday go-to place just to buy stuff. Yes, there were some shades, colors, and products that I was looking to get, and it was just not there. And, or because they were commercializing the product, let's say I want a specific color next to another color, but only because brands don't want to do that because they don't want to sell like things all together in one product. So they make it like multiple products. And it was just like not it was not okay to me. I was like, why am I buying 3 different eyeshadow palettes only to create one look? And, um, and then I learned that, hey, I can create that. I can put those shades that I know that it's perfect for like one makeup, put them in one palette and then sell that. And I did that. And at the beginning, I didn't know if I'm able to sell my own product, but it's been a year. I haven't advertised my brand anywhere other than my own platform, like nowhere else. It's just my on my own YouTube videos, Instagram videos, TikTok videos, and that's it. And that's been selling. Like I have released 3 different products so far, and I'm only focusing on what is my signature, which is eyeshadow, because my eye makeup is always like more popular than the rest of the makeup products that I use.
So let's pause for a moment and give you the opportunity to tell everyone who is listening how to find this makeup.
Yes, it's actually on bodomakeup.com.
BODO makeup.com. That's BODO makeup.com. BODO makeup.com. The best eye
Yeah.
makeup you're ever going to find. So what makes yours better than everyone else's? For you, the distinguishing factor is just the color palette.
Um, the quality is like next level.
Okay.
I have not seen that quality in any other like product with that price range that I'm offering. And then also, it tells a story. Like it was impossible for me to release a product that doesn't tell a story. So each one of them is telling a story. And I just love those stories, and then whoever that buys them, they just relate to that story and they talk about this story, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, they actually pay attention." And that's amazing to me.
Okay. So I'm going to talk up your makeup for a moment here because not that I've worn it, but I got to see the packaging. And your
Yes.
packaging reminds me of like an Apple product. And the one thing I know about Apple products is that it doesn't matter what the Apple product is, whether it's a watch or an iPhone or an iPad or, whatever. Nobody throws away the packaging because it's just some sweet freaking packaging. Like feels nice. It looks nice. Good for you for actually thinking even about the packaging and taking that to a higher level than just all right. Well, here's a box and there you go. A lot of people don't think in terms of that, and that's what one of the things that made me even more impressed was just how your mind works to come up with that. You don't have a business background yet. You are just hitting it with business, and that's so impressive. What is the goal? I mean, where do you want to see your makeup line go? I mean, what do you see for like the next 3 years, next 5 years?
Next 3 years, I think I'm gonna say it in the shelves of stores to just for the distributors to just like not to be only online and being in the stores, but I mostly want everyone to just feel the experience of having it. Um, Buying something or like owning something is one thing, one side of it. You need it or you want it.
Mm.
But then 50% of it is the experience, is the memory that it creates for you. And I just want everyone to have that memory. I want everyone to have that experience, to have that feel. Either it be the story, the packaging, the look of it, the colors of it. It could be anything, but I offer like multiple things for everyone who's just like looking at the product or buys the product to create some memory out of it. To be like, hey, because one of my palettes, the story is Immigrant Girl, and it tells the story of any girl who immigrated and just got out of their country and started from 0 and left everything behind and started from 0. That's not easy at all. I know like everyone talks about it, everyone tells like all the aspects of it, but the truth is that this is very brave. And those people are the ones that no one cares, no one talks about that because they seem so cruel to the world that like, oh my God, you left your family. Like, what are you looking for? What are you trying to get? They don't know what point in life they got to that they made this decision. And that is one thing that I just don't I want people who feel unseen to be seen with these kind of stories and products. And so one of them is for the girls that they feel like they're unseen, which is the I Exist eyeshadow palette. The other one is for um it's awareness rising about like the abuse like on women, like um violence against women. It's the black and blue. And I want people like nobody talks about violence against women in makeup industry. Everyone talks about, oh, it's like fun, it's pretty, it's glowy, it's Halloween. Nobody talks about those things. So I want those people to be seen, to be heard in a beautiful package, beautiful colors, and then create that experience for themselves. This is my goal. So I want everyone to see that. And for that reason, I'm ready to just put this product on the shelves of lots of, like, stores, Sephora, Ulta, I don't know, a place that I used to go shop for, like, brands, and then I wanna see my own brand on those shelves, so that is my goal, and then after that, making it bigger and bigger and bigger.
So ultimately, if I have anyone who's in the audience who is a purchaser for these stores, I mean, get in touch, seriously, because now you're talking about not just simply pushing a product, but an experience.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I care about.
So, you know, dig a little bit then into immigrant girls. So you basically did you leave Tehran with nothing? I mean, was that your story?
Yeah, literally nothing. Um I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was it's so hard to say. Sometimes I feel like, okay, what are we doing? And like, is it an individual life that we are living? Only I matter? Like only my life and my goals matter? What about my sister, my brother, my mom, dad, like my whole history, the life, like the parks I used to play at like when I was a kid, like everything. That's my whole history. And in a country like America is not easy to just grow and have your history with you. For one reason is that people are too busy to care. And the other reason is that people don't really have that much of knowledge about like everywhere else in the world. Like I remember that when I was asking for like vacation or PTO from my boss at the time that I was working at a corporate job, and I had to pronounce Iran 3 times, even though I wrote that on my email for her to just, like, say it right. And and it just gave me a moment of thinking, "Oh my gosh, people I work with, I laugh with, and I try to grow with in my career don't even know anything about my history, not even the name of the country I was born in." And you're like, what am I putting behind for all this? Like, what am I gaining? And what would I not get forever and ever if I don't leave? And then when you put all of these things on a scale and still the decision of it's better to go, it hurts. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh my gosh, like how can you put your family on one side of the scale and still the other side wins? You know what I'm saying?
For you to just leave everything. So your family, you got nothing here. You got your husband, obviously. You
Yeah.
started a life here, but
Yes,
you
just my husband.
so everything you had has been left behind. And I mean, you're not that old. And so you left a lot behind a short time ago and went and attacked the world. I mean, you didn't immediately go to the United States. We talked before we recorded. You've obviously been in a few different countries before you made it over here, but
Yeah.
yet you left so much behind. So let me ask you this, because I think you touched on something that a lot of people in this country just don't recognize. Can you tell me why America?
Um, I know in America nobody cares about a lot of things that I'm sick of other people caring about. Like I'm so sick of explaining about my religion, like not have like I don't know, like, I came from a country that, like, religion is everything. It's the law, is, like, the lifestyle, is, like, the way people see things, and, well, I fought for my freedom when I was a teenager only because I didn't want to wear hijab. I had to fight with my cousins, aunts, and uncles. That's not fun, but still, like, I was doing it, so I'm like, "Wait a minute, do I need to do that publicly? Do I need to explain myself every time there is, like, a family gathering, a party, I go out, I post a picture of myself on Instagram. Do I really need to explain myself?" Forever, because 'cause I'm not gonna do that. And, so America was one of them, only because I did live in many countries, not many, but, like, good amount of them before coming here. And I actually did compare America to all of those. Like, I lived in Europe. In Europe, your success has a limit. They don't let you to be an entrepreneur and then just like grow and become someone, and then all of a sudden you become like the big look at like the whole world, like everything, like all the biggest like celebrities and entrepreneurs, like companies, everything, they're all based in America, not Europe,
They
because
may do business in
your
Europe. They may do business in Asia, Where do they come from? A lot of people don't recognize that. I'm glad that you brought that up. So
Yes.
continue.
Yeah, so that's from the business aspect. So in Europe, like you have a limit. They don't let you to just grow up for the tax reasons, anything. There are a lot of reasons that you cannot really grow too big. They let you to just be as big as they can control you. And there are also some other countries in Asia. Like I lived in Emirates, I lived in Turkey. Those countries, they also have a base of religion, which was not idle to me. I was coming from a religious country and I didn't want to live my life in a religious country and like leaving everything behind for that. So it just didn't make sense. So that was also a no to me. And and then the business. And then after that, when I moved to America, I absolutely had no intention to stay. I just came here for like, I don't know, 3 to 6 months just to see how things are going. And then I realized that, oh my gosh, here has everything I wanted to have. Like the language is a language that I can speak, so I'm fine with communicating. The rules are very clear and they can predict things. I mean, I know that there's some negative stuff going on here too. However, compared to the other countries I lived in, it just made more sense for me. I could, and then you would not believe that. I actually, like at the time that um, I learned that I'm paying tax and my paycheck was like half of the money that I expected to be. I cried the whole day. But then I started watching YouTube videos and bought like lots of books on like how to control your tax, how to pay tax, how to not to pay tax. And then I had to learn like how to just like buy stuff. So it just like lowers your tax, a lot of things. And it was very clear and all of them worked. Like it worked for
I
me.
mean, one
And
bit of advice to pay less taxes, move out of California. I mean, that'll save you a fortune right there.
very true. That's very true. Unfortunately, that's, like, not possible for me right now, but yes, that is something that I'm planning to do.
That's expensive there with tax. But
Very
it's again very interesting to see in which, to see the way in which your mind works. You see these problems and you just look at them and you just put solutions to them. The sad thing is it's brilliant, but it shouldn't be brilliant, but it is brilliant, right? Too many people sit there and they will complain. I mean, what you did is you saw problems in your life and then you went around Europe and the Middle East and tried to build a life. And each place that you stopped, you're essentially saying that, you know what, this isn't the right fit for this reason, this reason, this reason. And then you come over here and you like it here, which is great. But then you're still working on solving the problems to make things really good for yourself without just simply focusing on the problems and never solving them and just complaining. So good for you for doing that.
Thank you.
I respect that. Not a lot of people do that. Too many people just bitch all the time. It's rather annoying.
Yeah, I acknowledge my problems. I acknowledge them. I see them, but I just don't live with them. I don't live in fear, and that's one thing that I'm very different from my husband. So he's just like I even told him like a week ago when he was stressed out because it's tax season, right? So everyone is stressed out over a lot of things. And he was very stressed out. I was like, look at you. You're so spoiled. You guys, all of you are so spoiled. I like from a country that we just like don't know how inflation is gonna like affect our lives the next freaking day. Like the very next day, what I you like the bread that I bought yesterday could be a different price the next day. That doesn't happen here. Like, and a lot of other things that I grew up with and I learned how to deal with them. It made me this person that I am today. And then when I see people anxious about like little things, I'm like, oh my gosh, first world problems. Like this is not something that I can just like be anxious about. I mean, something should be very, very big for me to be anxious and to be stressed out over. And I owe that to my childhood, to the country I was born in, because it made me tough. I'm very tough on like a lot of things when I talk to my friends, when I see the way that they see the world, I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are so spoiled.
I would agree with that. I think a lot of us are. Too many people, like I said, it's sad, but your hashtag first world problems. Boy, we can really wind ourselves up over
Oh my
completely
gosh.
meaningless crap when you think of things in a global scale. I mean, I'm one who's been blessed to have traveled the world and seen, uh, you know,
Yeah.
elegant. wealth and absolutely abject poverty. And so, I mean, for me, I tend to laugh at some of the first world problems, even though I'll bitch about some of them sometimes, because I can be pretty spoiled. You're also an author, and you wrote a book that um, most of my viewers can never read.
Yes.
But can you tell me about the book? Because you've got it right now in Arabic, and you should probably translate it. But what is the book?
It's actually in Parsi. Yes, it's a story that I wrote back in 2011. Publishing a book was always in my bucket list. When I was a teenager, I wrote down this list for myself about things that I wanted to do, and I still have that list. It's very strange. I wanted to do skydiving. I wanted to have a tattoo. I wanted to write a book, publish a book. I wanted to become a flight attendant. And well, some of them never happened. Like I don't have a tattoo yet.
Yet.
Uh, yeah, but I did the skydiving, and I wrote the book. Like I wrote the story back in 2011. I was 20 years old at that time, and I wrote it, and I just like left it there. When I became popular on social media, and my stories were heard, my makeup were seen, and people knew me, my name, and everything. And I was getting enough hate to consider myself as
A
popular.
grift.
With So I was like, "Yay, people hate me, so that's cool." And then I published the book. When I published the book, I had no freaking clue if anyone would ever notice. It was literally just one item on my bucket list that I was so desperate to put a check mark next to it. That was it. And the only thing I did, I just posted one story on my Instagram and I said, "Yay, this happened." And that was it. I still haven't touched the physical copy of my own book. I was involved with the designing, the way that the look should be, like the way the font should be. I was part of everything. However, like I just knew that this is how it's going to look like, but I didn't have the physical copy in my hand yet, only because it was the book fair time. And then we were so late to just make it to the book fair. So the next day was getting it there, but I haven't had it myself yet. So I posted a story and I said, "Oh my God, it happened. I published my book. It's at the book fair right now. You can go get it." Only 2 hours later, I was getting pictures from people like standing by in front of the booth that's selling my book and like trying to buy it. And then like at the end of the day, it was like this whole line that the security had to close that booth only because it was creating such a mess crowd of people trying to get a hand on my book. And I'm like, this is absolutely a dream come true. And it just became the best selling book for the 2 weeks that it was sold at the book fair, considering the fact that for 3 days it was closed because of the crowd lining up to get it. And after that, it made it to the bookstores and it kept being at the best selling shelves of the bookstores for the longest time. And I'm so thankful to social media for that. I'm thankful to people, to those who see me, who care about my stories, who like my stories. I mean, yes, a lot of people, only because they get anxious over what they see on social media, could be very hateful towards it, being like, "Oh my God, there's such negativity. It's fake. It's not real life. Like, you should stay away. You should face the reality." Yes, we get it, but we need to face the fact that this is part of our life now. Like social media is not going to go nowhere from now on. Like it's going to be here forever. It's just part, like whoever thought that phones are going to go away when it became a thing. No, it just gets better and better. It just gets like more useful every day. And social media is the same thing. And I'm so thankful to it because yes, I could build a career, create a brand, publish my book, and become someone on it. I absolutely love it.
And so the name of your book translated is what?
I'm a fool.
I am a fool.
Yes.
So a lot of people bought I'm a fool.
Yes.
And lar
And they were making fun of the name. My haters were making fun of the name, but I'm like, yeah, that's very true. I'm a fool.
but I like that. For me, and I've mentioned this many times before on my podcast, I'm a tremendous failure. Like I will fail like a champion because, I always screw something up and then fall down and get right back up. And I think that's really a very important thing is you fail, but you get right back up. And
Yes.
so you're a fool. It's fine. It's
Yes.
beneficial.
Well, at least I said it to the world
Yeah, right.
and they bought
It's
me.
totally beneficial. So we're coming low. I guess we're getting a little short on time here. So I want to give you the opportunity to share all of your social media outlets. We've already talked about where people can buy your makeup, where can they buy your book, where can they find you on social media, and then also if you can just you have the ability to talk to the universe through my podcast, which of course, as we know, is the greatest podcast that ever existed, short of Joe Rogan, of course. What kind of advice would you just like, last minute wisdom, could you give people who maybe are starting out or don't necessarily understand the power of social media or kind of want to walk in your footsteps or learn more about you?
Yes. There's one thing I always tell my audience on my YouTube videos because I tell them about my own life stories and other stories, and I tell them all the time, probably every week. And I want to tell your audience too. It's amazing to write down your goals and going after your dreams and wanting something. It's amazing to plan and to go after a particular stuff that you want to have in your life. However, the reality is that that doesn't always happen. Yes, go after your dreams, but it might not happen. However, the universe might give you something that you didn't necessarily ask for, but it gave you. You were looking for a job, you were looking to work at a specific place. You got the job, but it's not that specific place, but you still got the job. And you're still one step ahead of people who don't have the job or who don't have that job. And you just need to get things the universe gives you and make it your own. Yes, it's not always your thing. It's not always that particular thing that you were going after, but make it your own. When I came to America, my whole resume or my whole job history was about humanitarian worker or flight attendant or things like that, like anything that I had experience with. I did not have any experience in sales, let alone being cars, but I got a job at Tesla. And at the time that I got that job, I didn't know what Tesla is. From the country I came from, we didn't know what Tesla is. I had no clue what electric car is. You might laugh at this right now, but it was me 7 years ago. And I didn't know who Elon Musk is. And I never forget that because part of the hiring process was me watching this video online and then clicking next and acknowledging. I don't know why they did that. But then I was having the hardest time of my life listening to Elon Musk talking because that guy cannot really talk well. I don't know if you
It's,
noticed that.
he's not the most eloquent speaker.
Right? Like the way he talks is like, you're like, oh my gosh, just be done with that sentence already. Like, I'm done. And it was so hard for me. And I didn't even know him. Like, oh, this guy. And it was so hard for me. I didn't even know what Tesla is. But I started working there and I made it my thing to the point that when I became popular on my Instagram, one of the ways that people were like referring to me was that this girl who works at Tesla. For whatever reason, that became part of my title. And the only way that this became part of my title is that I made it part of my title. I made it my own. I made it part of my resume and I learned I can sell and I started selling my own stuff. And this was never something that I was going after. It was never my dream job. It will never be. And but I'm very grateful for having it in the past and having experience with that. And I just made it my own. And that's what I'm doing with everything in my life. Whatever you give me, I make it my own. And I make it something that it seems like it had been my dream, even if it wasn't. Only because I learned that not everything I want happens the way that I want it to be. But it's okay. I still keep going.
And the great news is now you have a podcast that you can call your own episode.
Yes. I love that.
Well, again, thank you so much for joining. Where do people find you? Obviously, Instagram. You give me your, get the Instagram
Or
handle.
my name
Yeah.
is Shima, but you can search me with HeroSheemaz. Hiroshima. That I made it myself too. So
Hiroshima, not to
um,
be confused with Japan, of course.
no, no, because it's Hero, because I'm the hero
Hero.
of my own life. And I tell people to be the hero of their own lives. It's not my fault that my name is Shima and I'm a hero.
I mean, again, you just don't want to be confused with Hiroshima.
Right?
Very, very
But
different. I mean, look, she's going nuclear. Boom.
right?
Boom.
Right? And I'm actually like and with the same username on everywhere on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and it's just growing day by day only because
.com.
I'm talking to people, and that's the way that you can make it happen for yourself too.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining the program. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Sure,
And I
sure.
look forward to seeing your growth. And may my daughter run into a Ulta beauty supply in about 8 or 9 years. I don't want to rush it. And be able to buy your makeup. That'd be amazing.
Oh my God, that's the best thing. I just imagined it. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was amazing. Such a nice talk. And yeah, can't wait to be back here again and talk about like new things that I've
Would
done.
be listen. I mean, I might have to have you on for next time you try and conquer the universe because clearly you're a woman on a mission. And by the way, I do agree with you on one very important thing: writing your goals down. How critical is that? Write your goals down because when they are written down, they can happen, and most of the time they do happen. Not necessarily the timeline you're looking for, but they will happen.
Yeah, they will happen 100%.
All right. Well, thank you again. Thank you everyone for listening. Stay tuned for the next episode, which I have to record, and I'm sure will be a great one. But thank you again. And Shima, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Pleasure is all mine.